Thank you. So this is the amendment to the Westwood Shopping Center. And given it is amendment, the comments from the agencies are pretty minor in nature. We received comments from DPS right-of-way for cleanups, and some minor comments from fire, and a clarification from DPS zoning as well. From Parks, we received a comment just confirming that the Springfield Park is going through the park construction permit process, and the design that's submitted on these plans should be consistent with what is being reviewed and approved through the park construction permit. And then moving on to planning related comments, for transportation, we do have a comment because the loading is being moved on West Bard Circle, and I think the loading is being revised on Street A. We're asking for revised truck turning templates to ensure that the trucks can circulate appropriately and safely. And then in terms of environmental, Marco had actually emailed comments to Andy Bradshaw yesterday, and there's some minor cleanup related comments there, but we will need to understand more about what is being changed with the final forest conservation plan. And so clarification is necessary there, and then we can figure out the appropriate process for that. And then in terms of the site, for my comments, which are the bulk of the comments you probably received, there's just various clarifications about what's being modified elsewhere on site beyond the mixed use building changes. And then specifically for the elevations, we had some questions about the transformers and to get some more information on what that will look like and how long that wall will be and what we can do to sort of mitigate the length of that. But those are the major comments, and I'll hand it over to the applicant for discussion, and then we can talk schedule. You're on mute, Kevin. We still can't hear you.
Sorry about that. For some reason, my device was not working. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, Kevin Johnson with JBA on behalf of the applicant team. Ms. Harris is not available this morning, so I've been charged with taking the lead. Agree, thank you for your comments. Agree that seems to be pretty straightforward, and we're in a position to address them. Grace, we would like to request if we could have a meeting with you as soon as possible so that we could dive deeper into some of the things that you just raised, so we can schedule that offline. I did want to clarify a couple of things, though. There was a question about the retail square footage, and it may be our misinterpretation of the ordinance, but the gross floor area of the retail is 23,277 square feet, as noted in the SOJ, and also for the associated bicycle parking. My understanding is that the vehicle parking is based on a gross leasable area, so we took a minor deduction down to 23,000 square feet to account for some utility spaces and some other things that will not be included in the leasable area, but we can go over that when we meet. The Springfield Park, happy to say that the park permit is issued, construction is proceeding, and we anticipate completing the park here shortly in the spring. I think all the grading and the hardscape for the most part of it is finished, and I think we're just waiting on park equipment to show up. So these plans reflect what was approved and permitted by Parks and what has been constructed. Similarly, on the Civic Green, there were just some geometric and other design development areas that are reflected on this plan, and that too is scheduled slated to be open here in April, so that's moving along. Um, the change to the driveway to the townhouse that was flagged, that was done to accommodate fire truck access. So we'll clarify that as well. I would like to understand better, since there's no change in the disturbed area and no change in the planting, why a revision to the final forest conservation plan is needed.
Marco Fuster with Down County, it's just a inherent requirement of a final forest conservation plan to reflect the final layout of the buildings and the hardscape and such.
Okay. Um,
Requires the same thing of others for similarly scoped changes, but when we have once we get a better understanding of what the actual changes are and the ripple effects, and once those are all ironed out and we could get a fresh look at things, then we could figure out the process and we could discuss that more in the upcoming meeting you want to schedule.
okay. Again, there are no changes that impact the forest conservation plan.
Well, again, it's a provision inherent to final forest conservation plans. They need to show the final layout of what you're doing. So if the layout changes, you need to update the final forest conservation plan accordingly.
Okay, so the background will be updated. That's fine. And that would just be wrapped into this board hearing.
It'd all be done together. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's really the bulk of the questions we had that wanted to get into today. I guess we do want to understand the schedule. Want to understand. I know we're scheduled for June 4th board meeting. We're hoping that there might be the ability to accelerate that some if there's any way we could do that, but do want to better understand the schedule.
Sure. Yeah. So like you said, the board hearing date's June 4th. And to back that up, your first resubmission would be due March 12th. With the last resubmission, if necessary, due March 31st. And your agency review letters due April 20th. So depending on how this resubmission schedule goes and how soon we can get the agency supporting letters, I think that we could move up the hearing date, but that's really just TBD on how these comments get addressed. Uh-oh, we can't hear you again. Uh-oh.
Can't hear you, Kevin.
We can't hear you.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Wait.
Okay. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. You'd think 5 years in that we wouldn't have these issues, but
No worries.
so I don't think we have anything else on our side.
Okay. I'll be in contact with you for a follow-up meeting.
Great. If you have, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Sorrento. I'm the chief of the Intake and Regulatory Coordination Division, and this is the DRC meeting for 19610 Clubhouse Road. Your lead reviewer is Troy Leftwich. And the purpose of this meeting is for the applicant to ask us any questions based upon the comments that you received. Troy will highlight any of the major items and then turn it over to the applicant. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and I will turn it over to Troy.
Thank you, Christina. This project is a concept plan located in the Montgomery Village Shopping Center. It's points for everybody. The property is roughly located here within. I'm still sharing. Sharing out. Okay. Like I said before, the property is located in the Montgomery Village Shopping Center. It's roughly in this location on Clubhouse Road, internal to the shopping center. It currently is operating as a dentist office. It was a former bank site. There's no changes to the exterior of the bill or to the site itself. The applicant is trying to come in and just do roughly 300 and, from what I can measure, 394 square feet of addition to the front, and then enclosing one of the bays, the former bays of the of the bank site. And so ultimately the site, what the site is actually doing is not much itself. The issue is the prior approval was from 1985. So of course, the applicant has to come in and update the plans and do a site plan amendment, which triggers a number of different things. We had spoke about this previously at a pre-submittal meeting. And so roughly a lot of the comments that I provided kind of identifies those things. It has the link for the prior plan. And then it also has a link for a sample plan that was recently done to kind of just educate the applicant on the steps that needs to be done. Ultimately, I think a civil engineer needs to be acquired just to kind of go forward with what the plan requirements are. At this point, like I said, the comments kind of reflect what was submitted from just the interior elevations and the floor plan. Let's go back. As mentioned, you're ideally what the owner applicant is trying to do is create a lobby space for his tenants that's operating as a dental office, and then provide some storage space, as mentioned before, within the prior drive way for the former bank site. So like I said, not much changes to the actual footprint. Like I said, it's just a domino effect of this adding additional square footage and bringing the rest of the site up to the CRT standards and the requirements of a site plan submitted. So at this time, I can turn it over to the applicant to kind of express their questions and concerns based on what was received, and then we can kind of go from there in regards of answer questions from the different agencies.
Does the applicant have any questions?
Hello, good morning. This is AJ Zamani. I'm the architect and engineer who work on the plans for this project. Is Dr. Tawfiq, are you available now? Because he was supposed to be here.
He is on. He's muted.
So basically, my question is that we need to prepare a detailed site plan for this project, correct? So because the amount of disturbed area is very minimal. So do you want to do a detailed site plan? And because one of the comments that I saw that you want maybe a stormwater management as well, is it necessary that one, or we need a little help on this side because it's a relatively I don't know, a small project, and I don't know. We are at your service. We will follow whatever your recommendation would be, but highly appreciate your support. Yeah.
I guess to address the overall piece of it, since the site plan is so old, you have to come in and update the plans, um, you know, to update the plans for a new site plan amendment. And that just has a domino effect of just the requirements for a site plan amendment. Um, and that's why I said I sent you those links. Being a CR, you have to have like a lighting plan. You have to show like a parking layout with that additional square footage. We want to make sure that the sidewalk is adequate because I know you're enclosing that awning that's protruding out, and so we want to make sure that the sidewalk is adequate for the park to those parking spaces. And so if there's any adjustment to that sidewalk to be adequate, that's going to affect those parking spaces. That just may have a domino effect for stormwater management, your landscaping plan. All those things just need to be updated and provided. Even though, say nothing changes on the site, those things still have to be provided. Does that make sense? And then in regards to the stormwater management piece, I'll defer to DPS on what would be required or not be required if you're not changing anything on the site. And it might be a situation where you have to just at least update it to their standards or there's some level of exemption, but I'll have to defer to DPS stormwater for that to respond to that statement.
I'm sorry, I just got in again. My computer got froze and I had to use a different computer to log back in. I can hear you guys now. And I missed Mr. Zamani's comment. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, hi, this is Amir Tofik again. Sorry, my computer got frozen. I was online, but for some reason my computer was not. I couldn't unmute, so I had to use a different computer. So did I miss anything?
The question was, since there was so minimal addition to the site, would a site plan be required or stormwater management assessment be required? And what I was responding to is kind of what we had said at that pre-submittal meeting, is that since the plans are so old, even though nothing is changing, you have to show how the project is in compliance, and that does require some type of study or plan submittal for the agencies to check off on it. And so even though nothing is changing, since the plans are so old, you have to come in and update those plans. So it does require actual technical engineer plan to show that layout and to confirm that it's not changing or that there's nothing impacted. And if there is something impacted, there's just a domino effect of making sure things are in compliance or new improvements to the site.
Okay. We do have the old plat of the property. Is that going to help at all, or something that we need to update that then, right?
Yeah, I think it's helpful for a starting point for your team to kind of work off of. It's good that you had those old plans and the site is it hasn't changed too much, but it doesn't help in regards of submittal, the stuff that needs to be submitted.
Okay. So to move forward, basically, we need to amend the site plan and then resubmit that. Is that basically what you guys are requesting at this time?
And before you submit, I think in regards to the stormwater management, you probably can reach directly out to DPS. That I think they have if they provided a comment in here. And if not, I can give you their contact. So when you do submit, you can at least kind of make sure you're meeting their qualifications before you submit. So you at least know what route you're going before you submit the site plan. Because that seemed like to be the biggest question for you right now.
Right.
Would you recommend? Sorry, I don't want to interrupt a lot, but would you recommend we prepare a minor site plan and with all the information required sent to you, and then you make a decision that or the decision is final? We have to prepare all the stormwater management, all of these details, or because it's going to be like a, because that in that way we have more narrowed like a approach to solve the problem. I don't.
I guess, are you ask? I guess I'm trying to understand the question. I think, if your biggest concern is stormwater management, what I'm saying is that you should reach out to stormwater management and see what the requirements would be before you submit the site plan. That's the best. There, I wouldn't say like submit a minor. I guess submit a site plan with. I wouldn't say submit a site plan application without the stormwater management not knowing the process.
Yeah.
I would say reach out to DPS Stormwater and figure out what the process is, and then submit the site plan amendment.
Thank you. Yes.
But I sent a link of a previous site plan amendment, a checkers site that was done on stuff for School Road, so you can see what like the type of plans that are required for a site plan amendment. And then there's also just a check off for intake that you would that has it as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes, we will check it out. Thank you.
Okay then. So what would be the process once you guys receive that, I guess, new site plan?
So I think first you have to do, there's like a environmental aspect of it that you have to do, which require like an NRI, and then that would have some maybe exemption or forest conservation plan associated with it. And then once the project comes in for a site plan, would probably be, I guess I could say it would be maybe a minor, or
It's increasing density, so it may be a major.
okay.
So
So yeah, if it's a major, it goes to the planning board, it comes in as a 120-day process. You'll go through this same DRC that will start the comment process, and then there's like 10 days review cycle to address comments, and that dictates if there's going to be extension requests. But if there's no extension request, you make it to the board within 120 days. And then there's a public hearing in front of the planning board, and they essentially approve the plan. And then you can go forward to certification of the plans that went to the board. And then after that, you should be able to pull building permits for your site.
I see.
But I can walk you through the timeline
Yeah, that would be.
in more detail, once you get closer to submitting the plan.
Okay. All right, Mr. Zamani, do you have any questions or any other concerns?
Thank you so much for the meeting. Yeah, I'm gonna review. We are gonna review the requirements again, and then we will be in touch. Yes.
Okay. That's it then. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
So I'm the chief of the Intake and Regulatory Coordination Division, and this is the DRC meeting for Hermitage Parcel 6. Your lead reviewer is Amy Lindsay. And the purpose of this meeting is to ask any questions based upon the comments you received. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. I'll turn it over to Amy to highlight any of the major items.
Hi. Thanks so much for submitting this. We appreciate the opportunity to add infill, add housing on using existing infrastructure. So I would say that from a planning perspective, you know, the major comments that you'll have received had to do with the road frontage, making certain that that all syncs up with previously approved re-subdivisions in the community. We have heard from neighbors, so I would recommend you pulling your limits of disturbance in off of the property line just to make certain to minimize impacts to your neighbors' trees. And those are our primary comments. It would be great if you could save that tree right in the middle of the property, but we understand how difficult that is while providing for positive drainage. But those were our primary comments.
Thanks, Amy. Rich Ingram, CPJ. I just have a few follow-ups here. Number one was add a walkout to the sidewalk instead of just to the driveway. Is there a particular
Code reference? No, it's
Yeah.
just a good practice so that you want people to be able to walk up to your front door, not just designing for people driving up in cars.
There was another comment about providing a lotting plan. There was one on one. I want to make sure that's
It was pretty small. It'd be great if you could provide a larger one and just on its, because the reality is that while we are looking at setbacks and things like that, the primary thing we're doing is subdividing this lot into 2 lots.
And then to the frontage comments, it was referred to the project down the street that was just approved, I believe, last year, beginning of this year. And where the road widening should happen, our side of the road or the other side of the road, as we were showing, which was actually a mixture of both sides. I guess my first question is I wanted to confirm the required road width for this road. We worked with, I've already reached out to Marie regarding the comment for adding dimension for the road showing no less than 20 feet. Is 20 feet the minimum? Because I know the project down the street, their typical section showed proposed 22-foot wide road.
Yeah, I'm here. 20 is the required minimum. I don't know why 22 is shown further
No.
down on a different project.
That's Marie's requirement. That's not the DOT requirement.
Oh, there we go.
So I don't know why it's 22, but Marie, there's 2 different requirements there. This is Rebecca from DOT. Marie has a 20-foot requirement. And we usually do that. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe the 22 includes the curbs and the gutter pan. But I guess I have a question of, do we figure out, because I know that there's a project on the other side of the street that's widening it, and we were trying to make it work. So, and I don't know that we can determine that based on the information that we have right now.
Okay, I guess can we do a follow-up meeting then to discuss further? Again, I saw the project down the street that was just approved and it showed 22 feet. We were showing 22 feet to match that. And then, you know, when we get to actually designing this, if we do the improvements, the road widening only on our side, we do have conflicts that we have to address with existing utilities and that sort of stuff. So that's why I was looking to confirm. Is it
Right.
20 wide or just the 20-foot wide for the road?
Right, and so we need to look at that. I think we need to take a look and see what they're doing and how it will match up with what you're showing. And then we need to see all the other conflicts like trees or utilities or whatever. So we're willing to work. We just need to have more information. So if you could get more information than what's shown on this plan, we can meet with you.
Yes, I can bring in what they did down the street
Yeah.
and we've surveyed the road, our frontage, and then on either side of our frontage a little bit. You know, right now the road varies from 18 feet to 21 feet wide. So we're just looking to be consistent and making sure everything matches up. But
Yeah,
I will get that information back to you.
Yeah, I know 18's not, so you have to have minimum 20, and so then we'll take a look and see what we can do. I know there's some trees on the other side of the street that we were trying to avoid. So that's fine.
That's really all I have is just further discussion and clarification on the road widening. We are working through stormwater management concept comments. We're addressing those. But we'd like to get something on book to discuss the road widening.
Great, I'm happy to coordinate, or you could set up directly with Rebecca. But we look forward to being able to move this through speedily. The neighbors didn't object to it. They just requested that the LOD be moved in a bit to minimize impacts.
Certainly do that.
Wonderful. Right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tina Sorrento. I am the Chief of the Intake and Regulatory Coordination Division, and this is the DRC meeting for Friendship Parcel 210. Your lead reviewer is Adam Bossy. The purpose of this meeting is for you to ask any questions based upon the comments that you received. Adam will highlight any of the major items we should discuss and then turn it over to the applicant. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, thanks, Christina. Good morning, everyone. You mentioned this is the preliminary plan application, Friendship Parcel, Ridgewell's Catering. So comments were transmitted to the applicant late last week. In summary, the 4 bullet points that I teased out of those that I think we should touch on today are some of the fire access comments, DOT's comments regarding resolving the roadway classification. There were environmental recommendations from the West Bard sector plan, and just issues related to parking and a parking waiver that may be needed. With that, I'll turn it over to Chris.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Chris Rulin with the law firm of Blur, Shirley and Brewer. I have with me Cheryl Hudson with Ridgewell's Catering, and we have Kyle Hughes with McCrease Hendricks and Glasscock online. Pat LeVay was going to be here but had a last-minute conflict, so we're going to proceed without him. We are the team that's representing Ridgewell's in connection with the proposed preliminary plan for the property at 5525 Dorsey Lane. If you don't know Ridgewell's, it's a longstanding local family catering business. It's located in approximately 4 buildings on either side of Dorsey Lane, which is a narrow street located just off of River Road. The building that we're talking about today, 5525, it houses the Ridgewell's kitchen facilities. And it's located on an unrecorded parcel, which is not really unusual for the properties in the area. They were generally industrialized in the 1950s or so without any regard for zoning or subdivision. So you have all kinds of things happening with the existing surrounding conditions. But our ultimate objective here is to create a record lot for this existing property that you see on the screen. That's necessary because it's the building that's there is functionally obsolete, needs to be replaced. The plans for the building would be reviewed in connection with subsequent permit applications after the completion of the preliminary plan process and the record plat. But it's anticipated that with the new lot, the building will be able to be pulled entirely within its boundaries. I think there are some possible encroachments there today. There would be an additional floor added within the I-1 zone height limit of 42 feet. That will make it possible to utilize second-story space for storage above the kitchen facilities. Those functions are actually located across Dorsey Lane at present, so that will be a dramatic improvement for the operation of the facility. And in addition, the configuration of the existing rear loading area on Clipper, which is at the bottom of the screen, will be modified and updated. And then finally, just a last remark, I'd note that the building is currently located in the IM zone, but previously was in the I-1 zone. The project that's currently proposed with the preliminary plan would utilize the legacy provisions of the zoning ordinance to alter and expand the building under the I-1 provisions. So we have had a chance to review the comments, and we have a couple of things that we'd like to address, but also get some guidance on. I know that Adam, you mentioned the fire access. I don't think McCrease had any particular questions about those comments and understood them. But Kyle, if there's anything on there that we need guidance about, and otherwise, I think we would be working to just respond to those as we prepare our resubmission.
Yeah, I think the comments were pretty straightforward, and we have a good handle on how we can address them.
Right. Starting with, why don't we start with the status of the roadways? Again, Dorsey and Clipper are a little unusual. We have actually met with MCDOT and MCDPS already to talk about the status of those. And there do not appear to be prior dedications for rights of way there, and they're not really, they're really functionally private streets. So I know there was a comment about providing documentation with the application to that effect from the civil engineers.
there was a letter that was submitted with the application doing that we talked about it. It's in the packet already. I think Pat LeVay prepared it, but if a surveyor with McCrease needs to do it, we can have that done.
Right, I mean, last I heard from them, the DOT was, they were not able to locate that letter, Chris, so if you can, please, quote it.
Okay, absolutely. Yep. So we can provide, make sure that what's in the packet is available to them, and if they need further, McCrease can assist.
Right, I mean, we have a process for establishing the road as a right of way.
Yeah.
Private or public as part of the plan process. This follows exact same process. So, as you mentioned, that letter needs to be submitted.
Got it. Okay. Great. So we'll follow up on that. Going back to some of the sector plan pieces about parking and landscaping, the site is very constrained. The whole, not just the site that you see there, but all the way up and down Dorsey. The whole, basically, staying within the footprint that the building has is going to be necessary to get the size of the facility that we need. So that it's going to be a little constrained to deal with some of the parking lot landscaping and tree recommendations. But nonetheless, McCrease has already started to look at that, and there are some options for adding in some landscaping islands along it's about 11 spaces that you see along the front there. And it appears that we'll be able to do that without impacting the number of spaces that are shown in the plan boundary. So
that's great.
So we'll be working on that with the resubmission, and we'll let you know if we have any questions about it. Just in general, on the issue of parking overall, there are off-site arrangements for parking for all of these properties. And when we sort of do a parking analysis for kind of all of the Ridgewell's pieces, I think it comes up with about 48 spaces needed to serve everything. And through those off-site arrangements, there's a 54 space availability. So we have the ability to do that off-site, and we can get documentation on that.
Yeah, we're gonna need that.
Yeah.
You'll have to meet the off-site parking agreement section of the code. So
Yep.
just give for that.
Yep. And that actually, having worked on some other properties on Dorsey and Landy Lane, I know that, again, it's a very sort of unusual area. I know that's pretty common for these properties back there. So, stormwater, similarly, obviously, an issue here, just given the site constraints, but McCrease is planning to use a green roof to the maximum extent practicable to meet the master plan objectives for that, and they can provide more details with the application for the proposed stormwater. So,
yeah, can we talk about the stormwater just briefly? I want to point out from a processing standpoint, an application was submitted back in December of 24, but nothing was submitted for review until last Friday. So we haven't actually got it for review yet. So it's not in the process, so everybody knows. But that said, it looks like a fairly simple stormwater management review process. So hopefully it won't be an issue.
that's great. Thank you. Kyle, can you guys follow up if needed?
Yeah, I think it was submitted yesterday, officially, so should be in the system now, but we apologize for the delay there.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Similarly, I think would be there was a comment in here about rooftop green and open space. Same kind of flavor, we're trying to accommodate that given the configuration of the site in a rooftop space. We're happy to provide more details about how that's going to be done, and we'll include that with the resubmission as well.
Yeah, that was my comment. That's exactly what I was looking for. Just a bit more explanation about how that's going to work, what it might look like.
Yep. And then I think really the last thing that we had, there was a comment about a 30-foot BRL on the neighboring plat, and we will definitely take a look at that. I think initially MHG believes that the property next door actually predates the I-1 zoning. It's not clear that the BRL is applicable, but the I-1 zone setbacks are different and lesser than that. So we'll run it down and we'll provide an explanation of what's going on.
Yeah, please. That was also one of my comments.
Yeah, right, good. But that's really it. That we reviewed everything else. We didn't really have any questions about anything seem fairly standard. It's a really interesting property. If I don't know if staff ever gets the chance to kind of go back in that area, but it is a good opportunity to at least, you know, for this, the limits of this site to get the lot put in place finally. And the buildings definitely will benefit from the change. And so we do appreciate staff's review in this and forward to taking it forward.
Yeah, and I know Ariel and I both actually had chances separately to get out there and take a walk around and
Good.
get the flavor of the neighborhood.
It's I mean, there are not many areas like that in Montgomery County, so I'm glad you did that.
Does anybody else have any other questions or comments? All right, if not, I just want to hit our schedule here. We're working toward a planning board hearing of June 5th. So we're having our DRC today. We look for your first resubmission on March 12th. You'd be getting our comments back March 25th, and you'd have a final resubmission date of April 1st.
Agency letters due.
Agency letters, thank you, are due on April 21st. That's a Monday. And the staff report is due to post on May 26th, again, ahead of a June 5th planning board hearing.
You said 26?
Oh, correct.
Okay.
Put it back to you, Christina.
Okay. Sounds like that's everything.
That's great.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you very much.
So I am Christina Sorrento. I'm the chief of the Intake and Regulatory Coordination Division, and this is the DRC meeting for, is it Tevis or Tevis? Tevis?
Yeah.
Tevis Place. Your lead reviewer is Emily, and she is going to highlight some of the major items we should discuss and then really turn it over to the applicant. This is our first expedited plan, so I appreciate everybody working together to get this, you know, to keep this moving, and that goes internally and externally. So this is so far so good. Emily Teitelbaum, take it away.
Thanks, Christina. Well, thanks for submitting this plan, our first mixed income housing community plan. I think this is a really good first project for this type of plan because it's pretty straightforward, and I think the plan is in pretty good shape. We already have the fire and rescue approval, and I know some of the other approvals are coming shortly. So I think we're in really good shape, and I don't even really have any comments. There were a couple minor comments from the different agencies, but really this is in good shape, and we're just looking forward to, you know, getting it to the board. Hopefully, I think the planning board date is planned for April 17th. Right. I know I emailed April 17th. Yes, is our tentative board date. So yeah, we'll turn it over to you for any questions you all have about our comments.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we agree. We're very happy, and also wanted to just reiterate what Christina said, which is thank you so much to all the MNSPPC folks and other reviewing agencies and to our team. You know, I think this process kind of takes everybody, you know, moving quickly, but also moving quickly on, you know, quality submissions. And we hope and think, based on the pretty limited comments, that we, you know, tried to hold up our end of the deal here as best we can. You know, I think we feel pretty comfortable moving forward. We went through the DRC comments and the change marks, and I think we don't really have too many concerns. It looks like for the most part the change marks and then some of the comments are just cleanup things, nothing substantive. I think we did want to just talk a little. I'm not sure if I see Natasha in the room there, but Natasha, you had
Yeah,
some
I'm here online.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Heather.
So nice to hear you. We wanted to just talk a little bit about your comments, and I know that you had included an exhibit with regard to both architecture and then trees, and so I think we wanted to just probe that a little bit. I know Rob, our architect, is on. He took a look at the architecture comments. I think with regard to the tree comments, we have some concerns about fitting in more trees in a 7-foot wide strip. And
Yeah, we were asking for ornamental trees to create some buffer for the ground floor units, also like creating shade on the sidewalk. And these comments come from Paul Mortensen, Atul, and myself. Is like a consolidated comment. So we were asking if the ornamental tree can be feasible along that buffer between the building edge and the sidewalk, kind of alternating between the street trees.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's possible for, I think MNSPPC, you guys are the ones sharing your screen. If you're able to pull up our landscaping plan, I don't know if Andy is able to share, but and this quickly gets out of my technical purview, but I know we did look at the comment and look at our landscaping plan, and the landscaping plan is pretty extensive. And so I don't know, Andy, if you want to start talking to that, and if somebody's able to share that landscape plan up on the screen.
It's 002, Emily, if you can bring it up.
Okay.
Of the 08 LL drawings.
Okay.
Yeah, I also have the exhibit if that I put together. So if that will help.
Okay, it's 002.
And while we are waiting for the drawing, I think I had the third comments regarding the sustainability. Rob, you can ignore that comment because later I found out through Emily that you guys wrote like extensively on your SOJ and I missed that. So that comment can be get ignored.
And Emily, you may want to bring up the staff comment as well. I think it's called staff sketch underscore.
Yeah,
and
actually,
data,
I
'cause that's
have
the
that.
overwrite. That's the overwrite on top of this landscape plan. It's
Yes.
probably a smarter one to
Does
do.
it make sense that I
Yeah.
pull that? Do you guys want me to share that one instead?
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Thank you, Dr.
Okay, sure, I can do that. So this is the drawing, Rob and Heather. This is a drawing that I kind of superimposed on your landscape drawing. So what we saw along the building frontage or foundation plan is kind of like bushes and kind of like a small planting. So we were thinking if ornamental tree can be fitted. So this purple or pink one are like a smaller ornamental trees that can create like a beautiful shading on a sidewalk and also create a better buffer. So that was one suggestion. Another suggestion was to not have a gap. I know you were trying to not have a tree in front of the lobby, which we thought it would be better if the spacing would be similar and just like continue the same rhythm of the, I think it's these are 35 foot on center. So do you guys have any question regarding that comment?
I think in terms of the ornamental trees, I think our concern is that the 7-foot buffer, that would not be enough really to get ornamental tree. And that's why in our landscape plan, you can see we've gone over the top with plantings, just more foundation plantings and not high level. So these would be, shrubs that are 3 or 4 feet tall that would kind of transition from the sidewalk to the building. And if you remember, the floor line of the residential units are between 2 and 3 feet above the sidewalk in that location. So our concern really with the ornamentals is just that they would literally be up against the windows of the building, and that we wouldn't have enough width to really get them to get a fully mature tree in there, even an ornamental.
Are you worried about balconies too, Rob?
Yeah, if they're tall enough, the balconies obviously start on the second floor, but yes, I mean the balconies would be kind of, depending on the height of the tree, even an ornamental is probably tall enough that the balconies would be sort of in the leaf area of the tree.
I see. Okay, so what about the street trees, the additional street trees, like at the end north side of the site and in front of the lobby?
So,
Are those feasible?
Let me speak to the one on that north side or the left hand in the plan view. I know with the site distance, I know we're right at our number. So I know we specifically specified no tree there because I think there was an issue with site distance from there. So that's why we specifically left that tree out on that left hand side. I'll let kind of Rob and Dawn talk to the center tree in front of the building.
Yeah, I think what I would suggest for that is maybe that we could reconfigure the street trees so that the gap between the tree is centered on the front door instead of a tree directly in front of the front door. And maybe we widen the trees from 35 to 45 or something in that location. I think it's always great when you can see the front door of a building. And so having the tree directly in front of it, I think would not be a move in the right direction, but I think we could look at reconfiguring. Andy, what do you think about reworking the street trees?
Rob,
So that
we were very happy with the 35 foot. Actually, like Paul and I, we measured it to make sure it's 35. So please don't increase it. But if you want to like rearrange it in a way that the trunk of the tree wouldn't be right on the axle of the door, that would be okay.
I'll kick that one to Andy. I think that's a reasonable compromise. Andy, do you have any problems with that?
Yeah, we can shift it a little bit. I think we'll gain one closer in the middle, but we may lose one on that edge. So yeah, let's see what we can do about shifting that set. We'll keep the 35, but I have the site distance up on my screen, just double checking it. And yeah, it's pretty tight, that far left tree as is. So I really can't move everything left. So we'll have to kind of look and see what we do to try to avoid having one dead center.
Yeah,
I see.
I gotta say, for major species, street trees, 40s are absolute minimum, as we discussed before with highway services.
So do we want to do 40 or 35?
40 is the absolute minimum.
All right. Well, let's see what flexibility we have using that 40, if that makes it better layout for us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are we okay with the one on the
So-
left-hand side about site distance conflict?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. And sorry, my team's cut out, so I had to jump off and jump back on. I just, if we could go back to the previous slide really quick, did we talk about the shade trees along the driveway while I was out?
No.
Yeah, actually, like I think I see that you guys proposing 3 trees along this. Like our idea is just like create shade anywhere that is possible. So all of these comments are toward the same goal. So like the question was like what type of trees they are, and if it can be like larger trees with a better shade, that would be appreciative, because there are a lot of like asphalt here, especially the area that you're pulling it for the parking here. So that was a comment coming from that side.
But I think we can talk with the landscape architect to see if we can select a different type of tree to provide a little bit more shade to that problem.
That may be where we want to put some ornamental trees in that location instead of
Instead
larger.
of the shrub. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a great idea, Rob.
So we'll take a look at that area along the driveway, and then also just sort of the bit of flexibility and shifting for street trees. So thanks everyone on that. And if you wanted to go ahead to the architecture exhibit, and I guess Natasha, I'll kind of turn it to you for your thinking. I know Rob, you took a look and have some thoughts too.
Yeah, I think Paul and myself and Atul told Rob last, I think when you guys came for the site concept plan, that the way that you are organizing the elevation is kind of like symmetrical on the lobby location. So we thought that if the both boxes that you have on 2 sides of the lobby location also like create that symmetry, that would be great. So that's the comment coming from there, is to make the gray bar thinner close to the lobby and wider on the far north side of the building, which is right side of this drawing.
Yeah, Natasha, thanks for that comment. We, believe it or not, we'd already made that change before this sketch. So I don't know if that's a great minds think alike or whatever, but yes, we're in agreement with this design change.
Sounds good. So again, thank you for all the meetings that we had prior to the submission, and architecture wise, it's a great building.
Awesome. We were actually prepared to speak a little bit more to sustainability this morning, but it sounds like Natasha, you saw the write-up in there.
Exactly. I saw it after I
yeah.
posted, so sorry about that.
Okay, I know Don was raring to go to say how great all of this is, but Don, I don't want to hold you back.
Yeah, I shaved for this meeting. It was really it was good. I put cologne on. You can't smell it, but it's on. Yeah, no. So I'll just highlight for the group. Yeah, it was in the SOJ, and this will also just lead to a final comment for Andy and Rob to highlight as it pertains to generators and battery that we just wanted to highlight location on with you all as we continue some progress. But benefit of this and something we're really excited about outside of the development being 100% MPDU and preserving affordability across all units for the 99-year covenant is given it's a full attainable housing development community, the fact that we're able to achieve FIAS 0 for passive house certification and a net zero energy standard for, as said before, an attainable housing community is very rare. And it does, really hit the 27 goals for 80% carbon emission reduction at the time of construction. So when we're looking at that resilience factor and sustainability factor, it's not only, hitting a certification and that's it. We're really trying to be thoughtful about long-term, sustainability and resilience measures. So what does that mean as we're looking at more of the design and strategies, the building will be air sealed and well insulated, as well as utilizing high performance windows and doors to reduce the heat loss for the structure as a whole. There will be highly efficient energy recovery ventilators and a geothermal heating and cooling system. I think from what I've been hearing from Montgomery County Green Bank, this might be for an attainable housing community, the first vertical geothermal system in the county, which we're really excited about. The use of geothermal as the heat source will open up our capacity to maximize rooftop solar arrays across the entire roof space of the structure, which really significantly reduce the building's remaining energy demand. So as you likely have seen in other developments that come through, it is very, very difficult for any structures above 3 stories to meet zero energy, even with photovoltaic array on the rooftop, given the density and occupancy loads of the larger structures. But here, we're really able to capture the remaining energy demand, with that on-site solar component. So as the modeling gets refined, something we've been able to add as of recently from a conversation we had with a company that specializes in battery tech alongside a generator, that we're able to scale down from a size and capacity. There is a battery system that will be incorporated into the building structure, which will serve critical load functions in the first floor amenity space, which really will act as a resiliency hub in the event of a disruption of electrical service to the entire structure during adverse events. So, we're really, as said before, I think I'm nerding out a little bit, but for an attainable housing community, this I think is truly one of a kind and exceptional with kind of all of the green and resiliency measures we're able to build in. So, the SOJ gave some detail, but hopefully my excitement via speaking it out, adds some additional color and context. But that's kind of really what we're bringing to this community as a whole from a green perspective. So hopefully that helps. Just give some context.
Can I ask, is everything covered in the SOJ that you just talked about? I'm not the plan reviewer, so I haven't read the SOJ.
I think for the most part it's touched on. We may not mention the generator and battery backup, Don.
Yeah, I think that's just a newer add, given we spoke with our passive house consultant who introduced the concept of the battery tech as a resiliency measure in the case of adverse events. And we said if we have capacity to do it, we should, because it just makes a better building. This was this past Friday, so you're kind of, this is hot off the presses. Rob, Andy, I don't know if you maybe want to highlight kind of what we've been talking about and how it articulate. But if we need to provide any form of revision outside of this narrative, I'm happy to add a few more sentences.
Yeah, I'm asking for my own edification for some other things we have in mind here. So outside of your project, so if you're able to just kind of send over what you are doing in this project, so I can have it for future reference, that would be really useful for me.
Okay, yeah, not a problem. I can kind of give you a page narrative, just in general to have.
And also just in that vein, I think we did want to mention that the generator and battery backup that Don just mentioned, we don't have that located on the plans that are currently under review with you all. So we did on this resubmission that we'll be making in response to the comments received, plan to show the location of those on the plan. So we just wanted to make you aware that you're going to see that pop up, and it's not currently on the plans.
And it'll be in the back near the rear of the property where it'll be screened from the adjacent playground and stuff back there.
I think that was really all that we wanted to talk about in terms of the comments that we received. I think, Emily, we did want to just touch base quickly on schedule going forward. I believe, and let me know if I'm wrong, that the final resubmission to lock in plans for the hearing, I think you had said was March 24th. Obviously, we plan to get in very quickly. I think we're actually hoping to resubmit by the end of this week or maybe very early next week, just to allow for in case there is a second round of DRC comments that we'd have to respond to, but wanted to get your thoughts on timing and next steps, Emily.
Yeah, I mean, the sooner you can resubmit, the better, given our, accelerated timeline here to get to the hearing. So, I mean, I don't think there's, many things that couldn't just be conditioned if we need to, but
Yeah.
certainly getting the revisions in as soon as possible would be really helpful. And if we can get, everything perfect on the plan, that'll just make the certification go that much faster.
Yeah, that's great. And I know we are hoping for that certification to go fairly, obviously presuming approval, to go fairly quickly, because I know Dawn is also sort of raring to go on the permitting process. And I guess I'll actually just mention to you guys, since I think we technically have just a few minutes left, we are actually going to be setting up a design consultation meeting with MCDPS probably in a few weeks, just to sort of formally introduce them to this application in advance of submitting for permitting. I guess I might as well just ask, because I don't know. I guess MCDPS, in terms of like the building permit side, are they aware of the MIC process? I mean, I know obviously the MIC process is an MNCPPC process. It's not an MCDPS process, but we're sort of hoping to use the fact that it's, expedited on the MNCPPC side to make sure that it moves forward pretty quickly and efficiently on the MCDPS side. But I suppose you haven't all had any sort of formal conversations with the building permit folks about that, have you?
No, there's some folks at DPS that are aware of it, but
right.
You heard any general conversations at DPS? No, but we could probably reach out to them and.
Okay. And I know, Matt, you had reached out to like Mark Etheridge, like in terms of just, sort of accelerating the stormwater. So I know sort of the technical folks who participate, and obviously Sam in the DRC process are aware, but yeah, I just wasn't sure if anybody on sort of the building permit side was aware. And again, I get it, it's not a formal thing for MCDPS, but just sort of, it seems that sort of policy wise, if it's moving quick with MNCPPC, hopefully, the same holds with the DPS building folks.
Yeah, we can reach out,
Yeah,
help coordinate.
Okay, yeah, and we are going to be holding that design consultation with them, which is always really helpful, where they sort of, gather all their people in the virtual room just to get an introduction of, what we're proposing to build here. And, I think we've always found that that's been a pretty helpful and efficient process, so.
Yeah, I can suggest that would be a very good venue to bring that up and coordinate with them.
Yeah.
That's all reviewers from technical, from managerial, everybody's present. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I think we're aiming for about, it looks like the earliest we can get that based on DPS's schedule is around March 17th. So we're going to be submitting that request probably in the next day or two also, so. All right, well, that was everything we had. This has been great. We're definitely happy when we get to the planning board to sing the praises of the MIC process as well. So definitely looking forward to that.
Heather, can I chime in and just have some ending comments? I mean, to Heather's point, yeah, I mean, she really hits the nail on the head, but I'm going to maybe not gush a little bit, and this is not a point of flattery, but I do need to commend you all on each department for just the amount of work you're doing in a short period of time. We acknowledge the amount of time and review these things take, especially 154 unit development community. While this may be a development that, from the transparency of the development team's end and our pre-conceptual meetings has been relatively seamless. This is a new process and plan. So I just want to acknowledge all of your time. I have done 9% and 4% low-income housing tax credit developments in, Frederick County to Prince George's County, as well as Loudoun County. And you're really laying the framework, I think, for hopefully something that can have a lot more optics and attention, because this to me is just a master class in the efficiency between a planning department and a local developer on how things can and should be getting done. And on a further note, Maryland CDA, because we are not requesting any state soft resources, will be expediting this development community. So from a submission standpoint, and to think a development of this kind, from green that we talked about to transit oriented to full affordability, submitted in a December timeframe, could close in a November, December, in under a year. I mean, I think that to me is what we're all, trying to do here collectively. So I just really want to acknowledge everybody's work on this collaborative process, because I just happy to be a part of the team and happy to run through this with you guys. So I wanted to make the general comment, because I think this is really incredible.
Yep. Ditto.
Yeah, and that was recorded, so like I could take that.
And I shaved today, once again, full circle.
And more cologne. Awesome. All right. Well, like I said, I think we're not hearing anything that would really keep us from getting resubmitted. I think Andy, you said probably end of this week is pretty doable, or maybe it's first thing next week. But yeah, this has been great, and we look forward to getting back into you all, and appreciate everybody's work. And I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks everyone. Take care.
Thanks,
See ya.
everyone. Bye.